how much money is being spent on this, and kind of get a understanding that York is putting quite a bit of its resources towards keeping us safe. I mean, we've got, I think it's now 24 security staff patrolling the grounds, with an additional 22 residence watch staff. I think that's what Pigeon mentioned as well. He's also said there could be an increase of about 40% of security staff. So, I think changes are coming, and we will see an increased presence of York security staff. I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
I think change is coming, and this money sounds good, and every little bit helps. I guess the key question is for students who are wondering if they should come back to the village at all, if they're wondering how safe is res, will change come fast enough? And will cameras and buttons that lead to security who are not police, will that help? Because the security, their presence is great, and they notify police, but I believe they're mandated that they cannot physically intervene. They do not carry weapons. So if someone's being attacked, I guess the average student can wonder how safe are they, It's a matter of moments between serious harm and, escaping in situations like this. I think that these numbers are a real boon, and I love that the university is taking this as seriously as it should be taken. I'm just thinking that a student just wants to know that they're safe. They just want to see results. Numbers be damned.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he also mentioned the York shuttle and the jurisdiction of the security. Now, York security will walk you sort of up to the edge of the village, and I don't think it's on the campus so much as where the problems are.
Absolutely,
it's in the village where the students actually live. And I mean, I've lived in residence for the past 2 years, and I have never really felt all that unsafe walking across campus, even at night. Now, mind you, there might be some gender issues with there. I am, a male.
You are like 6 foot.
I'm almost 6.5 feet tall, so there might be a bit of a difference there in terms of how safe I feel versus someone who is of a smaller stature, especially females.
Absolutely.
But on campus, I think security is definitely noticeable. I have always seen their presence. There's always been security on and around the residences themselves, and they're very quick to respond too. And I've definitely seen the emergency phones around. So there is definitely a sense that security is there. It's not, where is this? What's going on in the background? They're very front line. You can definitely see them doing their job.
I guess it's a matter of, and I guess this is always an issue with security. It's never there quite fast enough. I mean, once an attack happens, the attack has happened, and security can be there. As in with the Ab assault, security was there, and they helped police, and they conducted a thorough investigation, and they got the three attackers on camera. But they weren't there to stop the attack from happening. And I guess it's hard to ask for anyone. It's kind of like asking why aren't fire departments there before the fires.
Well, I think it's kind of a tricky situation because they do only have so many security staff that they can allot to the campus, and the campus is large.
It's one of the biggest physical campuses in Canada, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I walk quite quickly, and it still usually takes me about 20 minutes to get from one end of the campus to the other. So, for security to run across campus to respond to an incident, especially, during the school year, during pub nights, lots of students are out, and I have heard students say that they do feel more safe during the actual school year just because there's more people around.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with more students, there might need to be more security presence. I'm not saying students are the problem, but there's just more students, so maybe there's more likelihood of something happening. And especially for something like the Ab or the Underground, especially the Underground, I've seen security there. Maybe the Absinthe needs something like that as well. Just have a security personnel stay there during the evening on pub nights or something.
Definitely
like that.
Not a bad idea. But if we look at the attacks done in the last few years, you and I are not the demographic being targeted. What happens on campus is absolutely robberies. So I mean, you and your nice laptop here, that's the target. But all of these assaults are against females, and it's horrible. And I mean, what's up with that? I mean, want to talk about that 7 and 8 times more crime comparison statistic?
Well, absolutely. And just before I get to that, Mr. Pigeon also mentioned that he himself is a father and has a daughter, and I know you two were speaking about just us maybe not understanding what it's like for a parent because as you said, you are in your mid-20s. I'm even younger than you are, and for us, to imagine, or I guess you don't want to imagine this ever happening to a child, that especially your own child, but any child in general, it must be quite a bit more stressful for a parent. But yeah, the fact that, you know, not on the campus, but around the campus, the surrounding area is 8 times higher than on campus, and in Toronto itself, it's 7 times higher. So while we have had sort of a string of attacks, which is very unfortunate, and it has shed a lot of negative light on York University, I think students and faculty and just everyone else who has heard the stories needs to keep in mind that York is still a safe place. We do look out for our own, and we do take care of our students. It's unfortunate, the events that happened, but you know, the city, as you can see, they have even more incidents.
Now, I do see the point. The statistics speak for themselves, but as we mentioned before, telling someone that somewhere else is less safe when you already feel unsafe, I think is a cold comfort, especially to females on campus. I mean, this can be absolutely qualified as a string of sexual assaults on females. That's awful. And sure, I'm sure in the city or in the surrounding neighborhood, York University Heights, it's worse. But that's also a bigger area that is not supposed to be a safe haven learning school environment for students, for young people. Now, maybe this might be, the fault here might be in young people, in us, believing that we're at school, we're safe, that they're one and the same. You always have to keep your safety up, and York has launched I've been going through it today, a pretty comprehensive, and I may say excellent, safety awareness website with tips. But I just think it's a cold comfort to say at least we're safer than the entire city of Toronto as a whole when we feel pretty unsafe right now. Yeah,
agreed. Well, in regards to the city of Toronto, and especially our area of Toronto, the York region, I did speak with Wendy Drummond, who is with the 31 Division. Let's take a listen to her interview, because she also gave some tips to students and gave her spin and her view on security at York.
Essentially, there is no distinction. If a criminal offense occurs, it's our duty and responsibility to investigate. Security on campus is an additional safety system by the school, by the university, for its students.
Okay. And so for the Toronto Police, then, what are some of the protocols and procedures that are currently in practice for the upkeep of security in and around the campus?
Well, we work together with. It's not one replaces the other. A little difficult for me to kind of answer. It's just because the university is a campus itself, it's still within the confines of Toronto, and still within our duties and responsibilities to police.
Okay, that's good. And so just in light of the homicide that occurred in the village, what are some things that students can do in order to minimize or help reduce the risk of something like this happening to them when they're trying to find a place to live on or around the campus?
It's a situation in which, in some cases, there is really not a lot a victim can do to protect themselves. However, having said that, there are certain things that you can do. And the biggest thing is listen to yourself. Listen to that little voice, that gut feeling that tells you something's wrong. Listen to it and tell somebody. Tell somebody what's going on. Give descriptions. Tell what's happening. Any information you can. Don't ignore that. Places and things like traveling in pairs. It's not to say it's two people can't be, but the likelihood of an accused, of a suspect, taking on two persons is a lot less than the one person. Telling somebody, somewhat of like the buddy system, telling them what your plans are, where you're going to be, when you kind of plan on coming back, having somebody know a contact number, somebody you can contact in the event, that you don't return, that somebody can begin to look into what's happened. There are security features on campus that I know that students can take advantage of.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add on that note?
It's a situation where, York University is a community somewhat onto itself, and with the cooperation of the students, the staff, the university faculty, and the police, it's that type of community work together is what's going to contribute to the safety.
All right, so that was Constable Wendy Drummond of 31 Division, which is the division that is responsible for York University and the surrounding area. Now, I thought she had some very valid points in there for students trying to stay safe. And the biggest one for me is, if you're going to be walking home, do so with a friend or with someone that you feel comfortable with. I know back during the school year, I worked for the pool, the Tate McKenzie pool, and one of the other lifeguards didn't quite feel safe walking home to the village, so I walked her back to the village, and then because I feel a bit more safe due to my size and also just that I'm more comfortable that way, I then walked back to my residence, and I felt okay with that. And the other thing too is, she mentioned tell somebody where you're going. Just because you may have a cell phone with you and you say, oh, maybe I can call someone, well, it might be too late. And I think Wendy made a very good point of, just tell someone, hey, look, I'm going out to get some food, or I'm going out to do grocery shopping, or I'm going to work, because then they know that if you don't come back in time, maybe there's something that's happened and maybe they should look into it. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. For Excalibur Podcast, this is Phil Darlington.
This is Mike Scholars, and this is your story.